Welcome back to Scottparts. I'm going to give you a quick rundown on some of the fittings that we make for Pilgrim pumps. Most Scott flyers were fitted with Pilgrim pumps for the main bearing and gland oiling, and actually it oiled the entire engine if you weren't using premix. We make a lot of fittings for these, and I wanted to explain, because of the variety of fittings that we do, I wanted to explain how you can use these in order to make sure that all of your pipes and such like fit very nicely on the motorcycle when you do it. So obviously the Scott uses a twin chamber Pilgrim pump because we've got two cylinders. Is it a pump, is it a dripper, is it a bit of both? I don't need to get into that. There's generally on a Scott, there's two places that you mount the Pilgrim pumps. The most common places are on the right hand crankcase door, or you can mount them on the magneto platform and it drives off a spigot and a hole in the magneto sprocket. Now obviously both of those have it running at engine speed. On all of our Scott flyers, without exception, we run the Pilgrim pumps at engine speed. I don't use reduction gearboxes on any of them. I don't use crossover lubrication or any of the other various ideas and such like, calling them ideas politely, that people have come up with over the years in order to fix a problem that perhaps was never even there, but there's a constant need to tinker, of course. A well-maintained pump with clean oil and set correctly seems to work just fine, which is what we do on all of our Scotts. If you do have problems with your pump and you think it's worn out or need it checking or whatever, there's a guy called Pete Rosenthal, I think his company's called Pete's Bikes. He specialises in doing Pilgrim pumps. You might want to speak to him and he'll sort it out for you. Anyway, on to fittings. So if we look at the crankcase door setup that we've got on a Scott, or on the magneto, we have three pipes for the pump. Now one of them is the oil feed that comes from the oil tank, whether that's a separate oil tank or whether it's part of the fuel tank, depending on the type of Scott you've got and what's been done to it in the past. So that's the inlet pipe, and we have two exit pipes. One of them goes to each of the elbows that sit above these sealing glands on the crankcase, and what we can do there is we make fittings such that you can either go straight out or you can go at 90 degrees with a banjo fitting, depending how it's going to particularly fit on your bike. So we will explain some of these as we go. So this Pilgrim pump here, all of the Pilgrims have 1/4 BSP inlet ports, but the inlet ports have quite shallow threads on them, and they're not set up because of the way the cross drillings are within them. If you use a normal tapered banjo, sorry not a banjo, a ferrule, and you tighten those into there, you'll actually end up blocking those holes, so you don't want to do that. So what we do is, the first thing is that we make fittings. They're all CNC machined in-house here on our CNC lathe. 1/4 BSP, but we have a short thread and we have a flat end on them, and the purpose of that is that to make sure we don't block those ports inside. So that's common for both types of the fittings. You can assemble it up using a copper or a fibre washer, again available on our website. So they're specially made to go into the Pilgrim pumps. That's the first point I wanted to make. Right, so if we want to go straight out on a pipe, what we've got is we use a standard 60-degree taper. So we have a taper drilling in the end of the fitting here, and to come straight out we make ferrules. This is a CP038, which is for a 1/4 inch copper pipe that you solder on, and obviously the taper on this fits the taper into that fitting there. We have another 1/4 BSP thread there, which you might notice is longer than the one that goes into the Pilgrim pump, and that allows us to use our CP0037 nut, 1/4 BSP nut, machined to fit that ferrule. We can put that ferrule on and tighten it up like this, and obviously we can solder our 1/4 inch copper pipe. We also do a CP0071 fitting, which is for a 5/16 copper pipe if you've got a 5/16 feed coming in from your fuel tank, from your oil tank. Right, so that's our fitting, and that will screw in with one of our washers. We've got CP0098, which is a fibre washer that's a nice tight fit onto those threads. We can screw that into the pump in that direction, or obviously in that direction. The advantage of using this adapter as opposed to going straight into the pump is, again, so we don't block any ports that are in here. The second thing is that when we go to assemble the pump onto the bike, it can be a bit awkward with all the copper pipes, and having a brass male thread poking out from the Pilgrim pump means that if we do cross thread this, or we have trouble getting it on and such like, we're not actually going to damage the thread in the Pilgrim, which is a lot more delicate. And the other thing is, being a male thread with the brass female thread going onto it, it's actually it's easier to see what you're doing and be able to assemble it than trying to get the male brass thread to start inside the Pilgrim. So there's our fittings for the straight one. So this is CP0089, which is our quarter BSP straight to quarter BSP solder ferrule fitting. We have CP0071 for a 5/16 version of the solder on pipe ferrule, and we have CP0038, which is the 1/4 inch one I've got here, and we have CP0037, which is that nut. If you assemble those up and you use a CP0098 fibre washer available on our website, all these parts are in the Pilgrim pumps, gearboxes and fittings section, by the way. That gives you your assembly there. Right, that's the straight one. Now onto the banjo one. So it took us a lot of work to find these banjos, and these are made for us by a company down south who've been making banjos for about 200 years. So they're a specialist banjo manufacturer, but we didn't have the fittings available for the Pilgrim. So as I discussed earlier, this part here we make specially. This is CP0090. It has a short 1/4 inch BSP thread that screws into the Pilgrim pump. So again, that's specially made so it doesn't block any of the ports. It takes our CP0098 fibre washer, which is the same as the other fitting we talked about, and we can fit the banjo fitting either into the side of the pump like this, or we can fit it into the bottom of the pump if we want to come out at 90 degrees. These are CNC from Hex bar stock on our lathe. We do this in-house. We have a straight section here, which is where the banjo sits, drilling up the centre and a cross drilling through here for the oil feed, and then we have a blank thread at the top. This is actually 8th BSP, just for the sake of it being easy to be able to get other fittings. So if we want to assemble this up, what we use, we have some copper washers here, which are the right size. CP0094 is the part number for those. Put that one on. So we put a copper washer onto the spigot. We have these banjos, which for a 1/4 inch copper pipe you can solder it in. These banjos are 0.410 inches ID. As I say, they're specially made for us. We pop the banjo onto the spigot. We pop another copper washer on the top of it, and we make these nuts in-house. These are 8th BSP dome nuts with a blind end, so it obviously seals off the oil feed. We can screw that onto there, and then all of a sudden we have a 90-degree banjo fitting assembly, and we can screw that either into the base of the pump like this, or we can fit it into the side, and we can bring the pipe out downwards or across, or however it suits the fitting on your bike. So that entire assembly is available on our website. That's CP0092 is the spigot, banjo, copper washers and the dome nut, and the individual parts are also available on there. So between these two sets of fittings here, it should supply all that you need for your Pilgrim pumps. So I hope that helped. CP0092 is that complete banjo assembly. CP0089 is our straight spigot, and that's coupled with a CP0038 and a CP0037 to complete that assembly. So there you are. I hope that helps, and happy Scotting.